What's up everyone, how's it going? So today I'm going to talk about 10 reasons why high rep squatting is going to be one of the best things that you can do in the gym or outside of the gym, as you can see. So the first one is going to be hypertrophy. So unlike a deadlift, the squat has an eccentric component, so you're lowering and then raising each rep. Furthermore, there is a bounce in the bottom position that a deadlift just doesn't really have. So all of this adds up to where the squat is a much better quad and glute builder than the deadlift. It's also going to make some additions to your adductors. It's going to slap some meat on your hamstrings, and it's also going to build up your calves and your lower back. I've actually personally seen calf growth from squatting, so it is possible. Squatting, especially for high reps, is going to be an amazing adductor exercise. No other exercise is really going to target the adductors as effectively, in my opinion, and the adductors are a very underrated and often overlooked muscle group. A lot of people have lagging adductors, and this contributes to a chicken leg look, which you probably don't want. So if you want to blow up those adductors, get some big, thick thighs, the squat is going to be a great option. Most of the muscle in the body is going to be in the lower body. The vast majority is going to be there. And so squatting is really going to be a lot of bang for your buck in terms of adding muscle. The second one is going to be appetite. So I don't know about you, but after doing high rep squatting, I am ravenous. I don't really get this effect after deadlifting. I don't get this effect after bench pressing or overhead press or any other weightlifting activity to the same extent that I do from squatting. Even sprinting, this will actually lower my appetite. So if you want to get big, squatting is going to be one of your best bets in order to increase your appetite and ensure that you're getting enough calories. Luckily, it also increases your metabolism. So after squatting, after all this muscle damage and stimulation of the thighs, your metabolism is actually going to be increased. Now, I know this sounds like bro science, like pseudoscience, but it is absolutely true. Keep in mind that your metabolism is just the sum total of the calories that you're burning. It's all the chemical reactions in your body. And because you are stimulating muscle growth over a huge amount of musculature, this is actually going to increase the amount of calories that you are burning. Not just during the workout, but during the next 24 to 48 hours. It's also going to improve your endurance. So because you are doing high reps, you're getting a totally different stimulation compared to low reps. You're actually activating different pathways to increase the energy that you are producing to keep up with the demands. So if you're doing a 3 rep max or even a 5 rep max, that is going to be a different pathway. You're not really going to be tapping into glycogen. You're not really going to be stimulating the heart, the lungs, the circulatory system. But trust me, you can see me breathing on these. It is really, it's almost like a form of cardio, but it's not cardio. You don't have to sit on a treadmill and walk all day. It can really get a lot of stimulation of that system in a very short period of time, which I think is a very effective way to train. If you don't really like traditional forms of cardio, just do high rep squatting. You're going to get big and get strong and gain endurance all at the same time. So this is really a lot of bang for your buck in terms of training. You can also use higher reps to increase your strength. Now this isn't what happens directly, but by increasing your strength at reps, you will increase your strength for your 1 rep max. It is not a direct effect, but think of it like building a base. The wider and the greater area of the base, the taller your pyramid can be. I got this concept from Alexander Bromley. I'll link his channel in the description. He is fantastic. His channel is really, really good. And honestly, this is going to be one of the most effective ways to increase your strength in the long term. If you are continuously maxing out to try to get stronger, this might work for a few weeks. But after 3 weeks, maybe a month, you're going to hit a brick wall. And this is where you have to go back to higher rep training. This is really going to be what builds your strength in the long term. If you look at most successful strength athletes, especially in the modern era, they are doing reps at least part of the time. In fact, a lot of them are doing reps the entire year. It might not be specific, but there are so many advantages to it that it does help your 1 rep max in the short term, but especially in the long term. I've even seen Chinese weightlifters do sets of 15 or 20 in the squat. Not all of them, but a lot of them will do reps. Even if they're training for a 1 rep max, doing reps at least part of the year has a huge amount of carryover and benefit. Another amazing benefit of high rep squatting is that it actually builds the other lifts. So the greatest progression that I had in my deadlift was over a course of 3 weeks, and I deadlifted a grand total of 0 times. I didn't do RDLs, I didn't do sumo, I didn't do conventional, I didn't do deficit, I did 0 deadlifting. I did a small enough squat program for 3 weeks. And after that time, which is, squatting 4 times per week with heavy weights, high volume, just brutal, I did the deadlift for a new 20 kilo PR. I PR'd by 20 kilos. Furthermore, I did 6 sets of 5 with my old 2-rep max. 6 sets of 5 with my 2-rep max after not touching a barbell in the deadlift for 3 weeks. So if you get stronger at squatting, there's a good chance that your deadlift will also go up. Why is that? Well, they're using pretty similar muscles. If you can increase your strength off the floor by getting stronger quads, stronger glutes, you're going to increase the potential of the entire lift. Plus, the squat is actually still working your spinal erectors because you're forced to stay upright and not cave in. So the squat can absolutely build the deadlift. It's also going to build the Olympic lifts. Almost every Olympic weightlifter will squat. Like 99.9% of them, they'll squat. They might not do other lifts, but they will squat. Furthermore, it's just going to build up your entire body. So it's going to build your bench press. You can get tighter, you can get more leg drive, your core is going to be more solid. It's going to build up your overhead press a lot. Again, your core, your quads, your glutes, everything is just going to be stronger and more stable. It's going to build up your front squat. It's going to build up your rows. It's going to build up basically every other lift. And if that doesn't sound appealing to you, I don't know what is. Another thing is that it's going to build bone density. Now, this can be accomplished in a lot of different ways. And you might not be concerned about this unless you're elderly. But you should be, because bone loss, osteoporosis, is a long-term process. So even if you're not 70 years old, even if you don't think you're going to break your hip, I think this is something to be not concerned with, but something that you should be aware of. And something, if you're squatting, you're not going to have problems with bone loss. It's just not going to happen. Another benefit is the mental strength. So I don't know if you can see here, but this is really hard. This is really tough. And, putting yourself through this, it makes everything else seem easier. So if I'm benching, if I'm sprinting, if I'm doing overhead presses, even lunges, I think to myself, well, it's not that bad. I could be on rep 17 of a 20-rep squat session, and, suddenly it just seems easier. If I'm going through anything in life, I can just say to myself, wow, remember that time I got 20 reps with my 80-rep max? I just kept grinding it out. And suddenly, life seems a little bit easier. Just your entire life just doesn't seem as bad after you go through this. And this is one benefit to really putting yourself in the shit. Just willingly putting yourself in a crappy position. And I don't mean in position like your technique, but I mean just making yourself really, really uncomfortable. I think there is great value and benefit to doing that. On a more technical note, it's also going to improve your range of motion and your mobility in your hips, in your ankles, in your knees, in your lower back, your lumbar, even in your shoulders potentially. And I think having a good range of motion and mobility is very important. Finally, it's just badass. If I see someone doing high rep squats, I have so much respect for them. Regardless of how much weight it is, if I see someone really struggling and straining and really just putting a ton of effort into their training, I think that's awesome. Just really one of the greatest things that you can do. All right, that's all for today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe. Let me know if you agree or if you disagree, and stay safe wherever you are, and I will see you next time. Peace.